All right, you probably will be able to tell from the abrupt jump cut that we took a break, cut on the air conditioner, went and made some clamless chowder. I had some,
We didn't make
name for
shit.
it.
man, it's like really clam flavored chowder. Wasn't a fucking clam in there, not even a clam shell or anything.
Not even one that snaps up your oyster crackers.
I gladly would take that. At least it would live up to the name. She says clam chowder on there. It really is more corn chowder than it is clam chowder. It's all
Just
kind of
chowder.
vegetables and shit.
Chowder.
It's called chowder.
Yeah.
We don't know what kind of chowder, but it's chowder.
It's basically milk and water.
Yeah, I'm a fucking chowder head for buying that fake shit. Right. But anyway, so we're back now. We're cool, we're full, and we're ready to get into some movies. We don't have that many left, and we're going to kind of get through some of the smaller films. I spent a whole lot of time on it. We had fun talking about these, though. Yeah. Let's see the next movie that we have here. Tell you what, co-host. Let's get into some movies that you saw. Who? Me?
Well, thanks a lot for putting me on the spot.
Actually, co-host,
yeah.
you know, a lot of people don't realize this, but you have a soft spot for the documentaries.
I do, sir.
You ain't such a
really
zombie
hardcore spot
zombie
for him.
boob guy that everybody thinks you are. You got a little substance.
I got some.
That's
yeah.
why we call him Doc Hollywood.
No,
is that what we call him?
No, we don't.
What do you call him? What?
Fuck you, man. You don't ever say shit
Hey,
about Cyrus.
you guys are all coming out with these bad puns. I might as well join the group and get it. And you know, if I wasn't doing it, you'd say I wasn't a team player.
My plan is coming to fruition.
I felt like mad because I just didn't get it. Like Doc Hollywood. What do you call him?
Whoa, why you? I know. I just looked over at him. I felt like I just got hit with brain damage. Right?
How could you tell?
Those are the best ones that have a delayed effect.
Right.
Okay, now you saw several documentaries.
Yeah, I did. I was a documentary watching.
Boring.
Hey, fuck you. Who said it was boring?
Well, one of the movies that you saw was When You're Strange, and that's a movie about the
it's
Doors.
about the Doors.
I love the Doors, dude.
Yeah.
It says that this movie uncovers historic and previously unseen footage of the illustrious rock quartet and reveals an intimate perspective on the creative chemistry between drummer John Dinsmore, guitarist Robbie Krieger,
Damn.
and keyboardist Raymond.
Not a
Let's
Doors
go.
He didn't
fan.
even try that one. He's like, fuck that.
Corey, the Doors, is that a hip hop group?
and singer Jim Morrison. No, Jim Morrison. No.
He's like, can you hear me now?
Are these guys on P. Diddy's label?
All right, now I hope this documentary doesn't contradict anything Oliver Stone did.
Yeah, because that's the true story right there.
Shit's God's honest truth.
They actually had the guys. The guitarist was there for the screening. I'm forgetting his name.
Robbie Krieger.
Robbie Krieger. Now I'm not. I'll admit I'm not the biggest Doors fan. I enjoy the Doors music, but watching this film made me want to go and get their entire library because this band is watching the documentary. They really get you involved as far as what the whole idea of this band was supposed to be, and just it really does a great job of getting you into the fucked up mindset of Jim Morrison. And the coolest thing about this film is it says that there's a lot of film that nobody's ever seen, and the film starts out where this guy's in his car, he's hauling ass, and a radio announcement comes on, basically talking about the death. They're announcing the death of Jim Morrison. And when you're watching this footage, you're like, man, this guy looks exactly like Jim Morrison. And I thought maybe this is something that they shot for the film, but it's actually some footage that this director had shot with him for some film that they were working on that was never finished.
I thought they were going to finally admit that he wasn't really dead.
Yeah, I know, right?
And here he is.
Yeah, because
that would be awesome.
That would be awesome.
I was like, oh my god, is this film going to come out and say he didn't really die?
I would have been
and
really
the whole thing
sad
has been a hoax.
In the backseat was Tupac.
Exactly.
Yeah, and they ended with a performance by the Doors and with Morrison dead.
Elvis, yeah.
Elvis in the trunk. Hurry,
let me out, man.
But this footage that they have actually, I mean, it's great how they incorporate it into it because it actually follows a narrative while you're watching a documentary about the Doors, mainly about Jim Morrison and his rise and fall. Especially, it gets in. I mean, they talk to the band members. There's a lot of great interviews with the band members, and even some behind the scenes of when they're recording, where you see Jim Morrison just completely just fucking gone. I mean, there's
yeah,
and they get into the whole idea.
Is there any footage of him where he's not?
Yeah.
No, no.
I'm not sure there is.
No.
Yeah, they have a lost tape where
he's sober.
No, actually, he's fucked up, and Jimi Hendrix is there too. So you know that, like, he actually did like this whole like nasty rant with Jimi Hendrix.
Yeah, it's one with Jimi Hendrix playing, and he's like, "I fuck you in the ass, mama."
Yeah, that one.
And you hear about a lot of just the more memorable stories about what happened with the Doors, along with just some new and interesting things you never heard about. But the thing is, I have to give the film credit, is it never bores you to death. I mean, the visuals are incredible, and just people talking about the Doors. They do, like I said, they show some older interviews, and they talk about. The film's narrated by Johnny Depp, by the way, who does a fantastic fucking job with the narration, as opposed to someone like Leonardo DiCaprio, who does narration for a movie coming out called Hubble, which he puts you to sleep. And Johnny Depp is very enthusiastic with the narration through this film. And
well, you got to admit that the Doors are a lot more exciting than a telescope.
No, they are.
It depends on your point of view.
That's a very good point.
That telescope was in 3D, all right?
Yeah.
No, but I have to admit, for not being that huge of a fan of the Doors, this documentary makes you want to become a fan.
It makes me want to watch that because I do love the Doors, but my biggest problem with the Doors is that they build so much out of Jim Morrison.
And he was the least member of that band.
Yeah. Jim Morrison was a bad poet. I mean, he was he was a singer of the band with these really talented musicians. While I love Jim Morrison, he's a great front man. I was like thinking, I see him put up there with somebody like Hendrix and even I think Janis Joplin had a big
which they all died at the same age.
Yeah, like 27.
27,
And I'm just thinking, like, what is it about Jim Morrison that's appealing to people other than he was just a sexy front man and had a unique singing
Well,
style.
that was a big deal then. I mean, he was doing shit that was like really pushing the edge on like what you were allowed to do, and hell, that's a bit of it right there. Sid Vicious, same exact story. Okay. Sid couldn't even play his instrument, and people still remember him. Hey, literally, he couldn't. He didn't play on any of the songs.
And Jim Morrison is like that, almost like, I don't want to say rock god, but that archetype lead singer that so many lead singers after him try to emulate what he did.
Jesus pose and everything.
Yeah. You watch all this footage that they put together, and you realize that, man, this guy was like way ahead of his time. It's like there hasn't been a charismatic singer like him in years, at least I think. Especially when you see like the crazy shit he does. Like, when you see him going nuts on stage, you even see there's a moment where they play a bit of one of his shows where he just attacks the audience. He basically calls them sheep, and that's when they show the footage of the audience basically retaliating.
And somewhere Bill Hicks was writing that down.
And it's funny because I saw the Bill Hicks.
Well, let's segue into that then, because I got that up right here. It's called American. Yeah. The Bill Hicks story.
The greatest comedian of all time.
Actually, they say much more than a comedian. Bill Hicks was,
a prophet.
And still is an inspiration to millions. His timeless comedy tackled the contradictions of America and modern life head on, as he skewered organized religion, rallied against the hypocrisies of this government, and exposed the collusion of the mainstream media, meaning earning him censorship in the USA, but whose message continues to resonate with subsequent generations.
And unlike he directly spawned Doug Stanhope.
Yeah, and unlike some other comedians, his act actually did cure cancer.
Yeah. But now this is a documentary that I really, really, really fell in love with, and only because that throughout the whole documentary they interview his friends, a lot of his really close friends, and they interview
his brother
his mom.
was there, right?
Yeah, his family was there. Yeah, his brother. Yeah, his dad recently. I don't know how recent he passed away, but they really didn't put too much of his dad in there. It's mostly from his mom and his brother and sister, to where, of course, Bill Hicks was the youngest. There's about a 10-year difference between the family. So it shows you the evolution of his career, and by hearing stories from his friends that were around. Like, they interview a childhood friend, a buddy who he grew up when he first started doing stand-up. Him and his buddy were a comedy duo, and they talked about how they would sneak away while their parents were like, washing dishes. It's the end of the night, and they would have to sneak out of the house to go to Houston to go perform, only to sneak back, and try to get in the house without their families knowing about it. And of course, like any other story, they would get fucking busted.
Yeah. And they were what, like 15, 16 years old?
Yeah, they were 15, 16 years old.
And Bill was selling out comedy clubs as a teenager. I know.
And the greatest thing about this documentary is that his friends and family, when they tell you about these stories, they're so great at the detail that they give you, especially into Bill Hicks's personality, that you feel like you're experiencing it. It feels like, it plays in your head like you were there.
Yeah.
And the coolest thing is that the visuals, they use a lot of older photos. It's a lot of photos.
Is it like cut-out animation? Like
it is, yeah. It's like an animated.
Like South Park, sort of. Almost?
Sort of, yeah. Because I was trying to think of a way to describe, but the best way to describe it is like South Park, except with these photos along with animation, and it does a great job of really like putting you there, and as far as his career was going, and the fascinating thing about it is watching the documentary about the Doors and Bill Hicks is that even though one's doing comedy, one's doing rock, they're just their the way they were thinking as far as when they started to have their drug problems. The one thing that I noticed was that their stories are very similar as far as when they started to get huge. Then it became about substance abuse. How they were, how they felt like, they felt like their friends were starting to disappear.
Yeah.
Because they started becoming so self-indulged in these drugs that they started to not trust people.
Yeah.
They started to get angry at their friends because they're thinking, oh, these people are just using me. And
of course, they both have very different endings to that part of the story.
So you like, so you like the movie?
So,
man. You like
no, it was a great film. I mean, only because they really get you into the brains of the brain of Bill Hicks along with that Doors film. But
now, my question to you is, as a big Bill Hicks fan, and I've seen every bit of footage that was previously out there. I've seen every concert, I listened to every audio thing, read 2 biographies. What is there that's new in here that would make me want to see this?
No, I don't know. I don't know. I haven't.
He hasn't seen everything that you've seen.
No,
I know.
Someone was telling me something that there was actual footage of him when he was a teenager, which is stuff that was not out there.
I saw some of that on the show with No Name.
Did you? Okay, well, I'd never seen any of that.
There's a lot of footage in this that the family has released.
Yeah, that's what I've heard.
They talk about the tapes that will soon, like after the show, the brother got up and he talked about just a lot of tapes, a lot of music that he's had from his brother over the years that they're getting ready to release soon.
Okay.
But like I said, the best part of the documentary is that you're getting intimate tales from his family and friends, like stories you may be familiar with, but you're not as familiar as the people who are actually there, who are behind the scenes with him, like hearing his thoughts, hearing about him being nervous, hearing his friends talk about Bill's really fucked up and he's not funny anymore. People are going to see his shows now, waiting for a train wreck.
Dang.
And and his friends were realizing
like most of our podcasts.
Exactly. And that's the thing. I mean, it's really fascinating. If you really love Bill Hicks, this is the film you have to see. I mean, it's the best documentary I've seen in a long time.
All right.
Wow. High praise indeed.
Cyrus.
Yes.
What? Yes. What?
Cyrus trying to put some shit.
Oh, are you going to talk about that movie Cyrus?
No. We will briefly.
Yeah.
I like the way Cyrus came. Now I know everything about Bill Hicks. You can't tell me.
Well, I haven't seen that.
Hey, you saw a movie called.
I know more than you.
You do. Shit, I can't even pronounce people's names right.
Jim
Bill Hicks. All My Friends Are Funeral Singers.
Yes.
This is one movie you saw. Has Angela Bettis. Everybody remembers from May.
And
Molly
the remake of Carrie.
Oh, that's right.
Nobody.
Poor girl.
Yeah, nobody saw it. Molly Wade, Kevin Ford, members of the band Caliphone. What?
Yeah, that's important only because it's made by the band Caliphone.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Is it about them?
No, but they're in it and they play the soundtrack to it. And
in fact, the director
they played the soundtrack live at South by.
Oh, wow.
Okay.
Yeah, the director is a guy named Tim Rutilli.
Yeah, who's the lead guy of Caliphone.
All right.
Yeah.
So the story here is Zell, played by Angela Bettis, is a fortune teller living and working in a house crowded with ghosts. When a mysterious light appears in the woods, the ghosts realize they are trapped and begin to rebel. Zell must decide whether she can come to terms with the origins of these spirits and let them go of one of the families and let go of one of the families she knows. Critically acclaimed indie rockers Caliphone, who we just mentioned, provided the live soundtrack. How does that work, man?
Oh, what do you mean?
How did they
well, in the movie itself, they're playing the whole soundtrack, and in fact,
Oh.
they play because this is how she's a psychic, and all these ghosts are trapped in their house. They're like tied to this house that her grandmother before her lived in and worked as a psychic.
I thought you said like
Right.
the band showed
And
up
the
for every
band
screening and played
No,
live.
they did.
What?
No,
They
no,
did. Yeah.
I saw a Buster Keaton movie at the Paramount where they had their Silent Street Spankers do that.
Yeah, I know. I've seen them do that with silent.
But it's
movies.
weird
That's
to
true,
do
yeah,
with
with a
a
silent movie,
film
but
like this.
silent
Now, I just saw the screener of this, so I didn't get to see it with the live performance.
They didn't come to your house
But
before?
No.
That's bullshit.
You know what?
Your movie, man. Where are you?
You don't want to go to Cyrus' house.
Yeah. It smells funny. It smells like clam chowder.
and there's no knobs on the doors from the inside.
Chowder with no clams and cat piss.
Slip on a comic book.
What?
So how's the movie?
Yeah.
Okay, so I would assume that the soundtrack was on a separate track that they just took out when you were watching the movie so they could play it live.
gotcha.
But one of the things about this film is it is not going to be for everyone. It's really for everyone. It's
Great
really
way to sell it.
No, it's really experimental. It is a music film completely, but what the kind of music they do isn't really traditional. The best thing I can think of to describe it, because it's a really unique sound, is I don't know if you ever heard the term no wave. They use it to refer to bands like Sonic Youth in the early days, like really experimental, atonal type stuff. It's like that mixed with Americana, like early Americana music, because they like banjos and juice harps and stuff like that. It's like, wow.
Like, oh, brother, where art thou? Type music?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
It's like that crossed with that totally crazy no wave atonal Sonic Youth stuff.
I cannot.
Which
put that
I
together in
don't
my
know
head.
how. Yeah, you just would have to hear it to understand why that's that.
Okay.
So it's not really songs per se most of the time. It's really more of sort of that type of sound, like all ambient going on. And the band themselves play ghosts who are musicians. Assumably, I think they refer to them that they were a funeral band at one point or something, who are stuck in the house as well, and they're just pretty much constantly playing.
Okay.
And throughout the length of the movie, the ghosts basically start to figure out like they can't leave, and they're blaming Angela Bettis's character for that. Like, you're keeping us here, and she's totally not. She doesn't know what's going on. So they start tormenting her, like making noise all night long and fucking with her and just screwing up her whole career as a psychic, and she doesn't know what to do.
Is this
She's
a comedy?
Is this
No.
Paranormal Activity?
It's a no. It's not. It's not spooky.
Paranormal Activities too. The band.
It's not spooky at all. It's not done like a horror movie at all. I mean, they're just like people when you see them. They're just all wearing white clothes. Like, it's like regular clothes that they've dyed white or something.
Yeah,
or
they're like
bleached
bad
out.
neighbors or roommates then.
Pretty much, exactly like that.
Playing music all
Because
time
you
of the
always
night.
see it from her point of view, which is that these are just people hanging out in her house.
Uh-huh.
You know, no one else can see them that way, but that's how she sees them. And she does a great job selling it, and it's actually really entertaining. But like I said, this is not for everybody. It's the soundtrack is really odd, and so much of it is just long, atmospheric, experimental filmmaking.
Leon, you're gonna love it.
Hey man, I do like these kind of films when they're done well, and lots of people do. And if you're one of those people, this is a film I really highly recommend checking out, because I actually would like to own this and see it again. I liked it so much. I would love to see this with the band live.
I know you're about to say something, and I don't even like it.
I am not recommending it to you guys. You guys would hate it.
Because this is like, okay, from everything Cyrus is saying, this is the kind of movie that he and I would sometimes like get into a huge fight over.
It is. You would hate this.
Yeah, so
I'm telling you right now not to see it.
Okay.
But there are guys out there who know who they are at Spill who like these type of films,
And his name
and
is
this is the
Cyrus.
film
Yeah.
they would like. Oh yeah, I'm the only guy in the world.
Fucking with you. You know Leon gonna show up with his washboard. They're like, man, you
Yeah.
really ruining the mood.
Yeah.
Oh, hey,
That's not avant-garde enough for you.
the second here is going to turn to, oh brother, get the fuck out.
Hey, can I ask you something on a serious question here? Does somebody show up with a saw and do they do that?
Yeah, I think so. I don't remember. There's a lot of weird
Ghost
instruments
movie,
like
you gotta
that.
have the saw.
Yeah.
The saw gotta
Or a theremin.
A theremin, yeah.
I hope that's what Saw 7 is going to be like.
Or a jug band.
All right, yeah, Fat Albert and Jump Band.
Yeah.
And more cowbell.
I hope Ernest Otter shows up at some point.
Emmett Otter's Jump
Emmett
Band?
Otter.
Emmett
That's it.
Otter.
Emmett Otter.
Come on, get it
Emmett
right.
Otter.
I don't
Man,
know.
ain't a
Shit.
battle of bands
Goddamn.
between Emmett Otter and
That's
Fat
a great.
Albert.
Ain't no hole in the western. That's what they should have brought with the Electric Mayhem band.
Yeah.
Yeah, right? As ghosts. We're dead now.
the River Bottom Nightmare Band. Oh, I'm sorry. Electric Mayhem was Dr. T.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Who were you thinking of?
Yeah,
I'm talking about that fucking those scary
the metal
animals
band
that showed up. The metal band that showed up in Emmett Island.
Oh, right.
The River Bottom Nightmare Band.
Those dudes rocked, by the way.
Yeah,
they did. That's who came and played that fucking.
And
soundtrack.
for the record, when the devil plays versus the guy in that song, he's so much better than the guy. I'm sorry.
You know what? I like the devil's band better, but the devil's actual violin playing, or fiddle playing.
Well, the backup band.
That's kind of weak.
His backup band rocks.
No, his backup band does rock.
Yeah, exactly.
Let's move on to here's a movie that we're not going to really go into detail about because we have a review coming up pretty soon, and that is MacGruber.
The guy's a freaking genius, MacGruber.
I've never seen that skit at all.
It's a funny skit.
I've never seen one, and I have to say, watching the movie when I not having seen the skit, I saw the trailer for this movie. I'm like, this looks like the biggest piece of shit.
Yeah.
And watching the movie, it was the biggest piece of shit. No, it wasn't. It wasn't. It actually worked better than I thought it would. As probably not even was it like a 30-second skit or something.
I will say it was better than I thought it was going to be, but I agree with you that I went into it thinking it was going to be a total piece of shit.
Yeah. When I was in line, I heard somebody said, "Yeah, this is the SNL skit," and I had no clue, and I was like, "Oh fuck!" And I immediately wanted to run away, but. Wow, this is going to shock a lot of people.
I guess I should have said that this is based on a Saturday Night Live skit.
And those skits are about 6 minutes long.
I know.
If that, they're more like 3 minutes.
Because someday they're going to be making movies like, oh man, this is a movie at that time Corey said "fuck" on Spill. What? Yeah, dude, it's going to be awesome. Remember that? That was cool.
A lot of people in the movie: Will Forte, Maya Rudolph, Christian Wiig, Ryan Phillippe, Val Kilmer, Bill Hader. Who was Bill Hader in the movie?
I don't remember.
He's on the cast list.
I didn't see Bill Hader in that movie at all. And
I feel like he was in there right in the beginning for some reason. I feel like I saw him at some point.
Maybe he was the voice of something.
He's listed on the main cast list. So.
What shit? Somebody fucked up and put his name on there. He got.
Maybe did he help write it or something?
No, he was on the cast list.
No, he said
that's
cast.
weird.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe
because he stands out. You notice him when he's in something.
Yeah, I didn't wonder. Maybe he was a bad guy. I don't know. Maybe he's a fucking talking car or something.
Maybe he never made it to the final cut. The cut that we saw.
This is the movie where we were just talking about. Well, we talked about this already. Where they were ripped. They mentioned.
It's MacGyver as a comedy.
We've been recording for a long time. I forgot that part of the podcast.
I remember which part it got recorded, which is us just bullshitting before we started.
It's Austin Powers about the 80s. Yeah, is what this is.
Wow, that sums it up perfectly.
Yeah. Exactly.
Okay. Yeah, you'll hear more about us talking about this later. Let's wrap up this list because I'm tired of holding this piece of paper.
Well, give it to me.
Tony. We're going to Townie. And look, man, they got the whole fucking movie listed as a plot synopsis. I'm just going to let you talk about this real quick, sum it up.
And Tony is so simple. It's one of those films that sounds fantastic on paper, which is right there. But it's too simple. They're going after the Henry Portrait of a Serial Killer thing, which y'all have seen was really, like, I would go so far as to say important when it came out in horror. Because it was like, let's just follow a serial killer around.
That was a fucked up movie.
Get to know him as a human being, but he's totally, he's fucking evil, you know? Mm-hmm. This is like that, except this guy is this total like nerd guy in England. He's like, you couldn't get any dorkier than this guy if you tried. Not even me. Seriously, he's but that with total withdrawn.
It's not about the Prime Minister, right?
No, totally withdrawn type of nerd. He's like afraid of everybody, and you're following him around, going, oh well, this is just some nerd guy. I wonder what's going to happen with this dude. And then he brings some like heroin junkies back to his house and like helps him buy some heroin. You're like, this does not seem like the guy who's going to hang out with a bunch of junkies. And then he kills them. And you're like, wait, what the fuck just happened? And you realize that this is actually apparently based loosely on a real serial killer. The story of this guy.
Does he even smoke this shit or shoot it up or anything?
No, he just brought him back there to kill him.
Yeah,
but the whole thing is like, he doesn't really seem to have an MO. He's just kind of grabbing people because he wants to find a connection with them. And then when there doesn't seem to be a connection, he very kind of casually almost kills them. And
wish you could do that in real life sometimes.
It never spells it out, but it seems like he's eating them too. It's not entirely clear on that. But the biggest problem with that is this film is as good as it is, and it really is good. The performance by the lead guy is great. You're like, you get really into it. Is that there's no ending at all. None. I don't mean a Coen Brothers no ending.
I was about to say,
I mean like it just cuts off. It's just like, wait, what is it looking like? Wait, no, there are credits here, so it's not like something's wrong.
Not a work print.
It's not that Gutierrez guy.
No,
get up on stage.
No, it just
start singing and dancing.
It's like they come on screen and go, yeah, we got nothing.
Yeah, it's funny. He gets in bed and goes to sleep. Credits start rolling.
I'm like, God
Party's
damn it!
over.
What the fuck did I watch that
Hey,
for?
do you guys like that? Because if you let people know you liked it, they'll give us enough money to finish filming this.
Seriously, it's like serial killer mumblecore is what this is.
Wow. Hey, show them at the grocery store buying cereal and shit. Credits.
If they just had some sort of conclusion, I would have said, yeah, that's really cool. You need to see it, but. I can't recommend it just sheerly on the fact that you end up, wow, what a waste of time that was.
Wow.
We are winding down your list here. We have Get Low by Aaron Schneider. This is another high-profile film at South by because it had some big names in there. Robert Duvall, Sissy Spacek, Bill Murray, Lucas Black, Gerald McRaney, and Bill Cobbs.
I believe it played at Telluride first. I'm not sure about that.
I know Bill Murray was in town.
I want to make a prediction.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Robert Duvall's in this movie. It is slow paced.
Yes, you are so right. How did you guess?
Something about Robert Duvall. Ever since The Apostle, every movie he makes is slow paced.
And the movie should have been called Get the Molasses Out Your Ass because this movie was so slow. It
should
have been called Get Slow.
I mean, for a film as slow as it is, it's still entertaining. But even so, we're like, okay, come on, guys, you can wrap this shit up.
I like the way the synopsis goes here. It's like, listen to this shit.
It begins, it ends.
You gotta read it like this. No, it says Get Low is a magical and moving blend. Ain't nothing magic about this shit, okay?
Yeah,
it's a magical and moving blend of
folktale,
fable, and real-life legend, spun in a Southern storytelling tradition.
Magic made it.
It is about the mysterious 1930s Tennessee hermit who famously threw his own rollicking funeral party while he was still alive. Robert Duvall, Bill Murray, Sissy Spacek, and Lucas Black form an ensemble of unforgettable characters. I would argue with that. Who bring to life the surprising last act of Felix Bush.
See, that's what cracks me up is like when the description has to tell you how to feel about things. Oh, these are wonderful, memorable characters. It's like, trust us.
Yeah. And it does feel like that. I mean, this is like, it's a good idea that just goes on too long, and it's not funny or entertaining enough to make you go, wow, these are magical, wonderful characters in a fairy tale-like world. Now, I mean, I don't even have to tell you the performances are fucking great.
Sure.
Of course they're fucking great. Look who's in it. And the director does a good job of filming these actors do their performances.
Well, what about Lucas Black? Because when you say great performances, I don't think Lucas Black.
Okay.
Except for Sling Blade.
Now, here's the deal. Lucas Black is the kid from Sling Blade. He was, and as an adult, he was recently in... What was that movie that we saw?
Fast and Furious 3.
Well, he's in Fast and Furious 3, Tokyo Drift.
And Legion.
Yeah, he's like, in every movie he talked like this.
Yeah.
He comes in the room, and he's dressed up in his period outfit, has his hat in his hand, and he's acting with his face. And he's listening to Robert Duvall try to set up this funeral, and you're thinking like, well, maybe I misunderstood Lucas Black. Maybe he just needs the right role. And then he walks in, he's like, excuse me, sir, I heard you say, and it's like, oh, shit, man. Okay, no matter how we dress you up, you were still Lucas Black, all right?
I mean, still that goddamn kid from Sling Blade.
Yeah.
He is kind of the one-dimensional character, definitely. He's the centerpiece in some ways, because he's the audience surrogate.
But he fits. Keanu Reeves from Much Ado About Nothing.
Yeah, but he does fit because everyone else is such a like really intense character that you need someone that's just kind of the simple guy that they're not really even doing anything with. He's just there to go, wow, that's weird.
Yeah, Bill Murray and Robert Duvall, even to a certain extent, Sissy Spacek are the ones you want to see the movie for. You wonder how Bill Murray's going to play into this. Bill Murray has a way of like working his way into dramas now and being still Bill Murray. He plays a funeral guy who tries to arrange the funeral because he needs money because nobody's died in this town. He's even saying, I'm reading the paper, nobody's fucking dead in months. The business is doing like terribly.
I open the only funeral home in a town full of vampires.
Yeah. So he's the guy that comes in like when Robert Duvall is like, oh hey, let me show you our caskets back here. You'll love this model. And like he's a sleazy car salesman.
Was it just me that was sitting there hoping that he was going to hatch a plan with Robert Duvall to start murdering the townspeople? That would have been a good movie.
Yeah, it's a typical drama though. Outside of Bill Murray coming in and adding a little spark to the narrative, I mean, it's very slow. And
Who directed the movie?
Aaron Schneider. So
I think I liked it better than you did. I genuinely
You did
do.
because I really thought it was the movie bored me. It bored me to tears.
I wasn't bored, but I still thought it could have been tightened up a lot. And I really so much enjoyed watching Robert Duvall in this part.
Sure.
I really did. I mean, it's such an exaggerated, crazy character. This old hermit guy with his crazy ass beard. He's fun to watch. I mean, that alone carried me through the film.
He's a badass. Nobody likes him because of something that happened in his past.
And that's the mystery.
Yeah, it's revealed later on, but people fucking with him. They're coming up, hey, you know what you did? You know what you did? Come here, I'm talking to you. And he just beats the fuck out of them and just goes. He's that badass that's like beats somebody up and just walks away.
The thing is,
got his mule and walking off.
It was so long ago that no one even knows what it was he did. They just have all these totally made up urban legend stories.
Yeah.
And like the whole town is kind of waiting to hear this story. So the whole movie's building towards this climax where he's going to finally tell everyone. And the whole thing, like, he doesn't even know if he can do it himself.
Yeah.
If he can build up the courage to admit it. And then when you finally hear it, you're like, well, that's not really all that big a deal.
It really isn't. And it's I mean, it was terrible, but really, it's those things where if you just kind of told people what happened, you'd be all right.
People would have been like, oh, that's how I get it, dude. It's cool.
Yeah. But
all right. I called out bingo, but I didn't actually have it.
I don't know what you did.
But I really needed that blender. You don't understand.
It's a very melodramatic ending, too. It's not terrible, but I wouldn't say
we weren't crazy about it.
No, we're not crazy about it at all. Finally, on your list here, Cargo.
Cargo.
A science fiction film. Again, a long-ass, page-long description.
I'll sum it up real quick. First up, this is a film that is already out in Europe and a bunch of countries. And apparently, I don't know if this means anything, but it was one of the biggest hits in, Sweden, I think, where it's from originally. Sweden,
Kazakhstan.
Switzerland.
You're right. You're right.
It's from...
It is the greatest movie
in the
history of Kazakhstan.
It's from Norden.
Great success.
Norden Way is where it's from.
And you're right. It means nothing.
And it's the first sci-fi film ever made in that country, Norden Way or wherever it is. And the idea is it's like the Earth is fucked and there's a satellite where everyone lives on, but everyone wants to go to this perfect planet they found way, way, way away that they're sending, settlers to.
Battle for Terra?
I don't know. I didn't see Battle for Terra. And so, but you have to pay a lot to get there. And the main character is this girl who takes a job on a freighter as a medic in order to earn the money to be able to go stay with her sister on this planet. And as they're going along on this big ship, it turns out that there's some weird, creepy shit happening on the ship. What's going on? Are there stowaways? Is there something wrong with the cargo?
Sunshine?
And it turns into very much a sort of like, what is real type of story that I know you hate. Yes. And the thing is like, I tend to like these type of things. But this is pretty fucking stupid.
Sounds like that German film, that science fiction film that was remade with George Clooney.
Yeah, I was thinking that too.
Solaris.
Yeah.
Well, it's really once they play their cards, it's like the rest of it playing out is just boring. You're like, man, there's like 30 minutes left of this, and it's just going to go through what we all know is going to happen at this point. It's tedious watching it. The one good thing about this though is, man, is it gorgeous looking. I mean, it's like holy shit, gorgeous looking, like almost Blade Runner level of like, wow, beautiful cinematography of like sci-fi stuff. And that's also the greatest mark against it because it knows that it's pretty and it keeps showing it to you. It's like, dude, you've shown us a long, loving look at this ship in space with a sunlight glinting off it like 35 times in the last 10 minutes. Stop that shit and go back to the story. If I don't see an alien impale someone in the next 20 seconds, I'm fucking leaving.
That's what they spent the money on. They got to show you that shit.
Who needs story when you have pretty buildings to look at?
Space fun time.
So very nice.
That's Cargo.
High five.
All right.
Back to co-host.
Get into a couple of films that you saw, Coast. I'm saving the main one for last that you saw, like you want to go on a rant about.
Oh.
Real quick, tell us about Jean-Michel Basquiat, the Radiant Child.
Jean-Michel Basquiat.
Wasn't
there a movie about this guy's life?
Yeah, Jeffrey Wright played.
Yeah, Jeffrey Wright. Yeah, that was his big breakout role.
Yeah, Basquiat. That's
never even heard of the guy before that movie.
I know.
Yeah, and Benicio del Toro was in that movie too. No, this documentary was put together by one of Basquiat's close.
Wait, wasn't there already a Basquiat documentary also? Because I thought that came out before the movie or right after the movie.
Well, this is a different one.
No, this is something else.
It just sounds like you saw a lot of documentaries that have already had documentaries done before.
Maybe so, but nobody referenced it. Like even during the Q&A, nobody talked about that. The only thing anybody talked about was the actual film and this.
Okay.
And this was put together. Now this documentary was put together by one of Basquiat's close friends before he died, and it's footage that she took. It's interview footage that she took of him that she's been saving for like 20 years, and apparently people have known about this interview footage, and they've tried to get her to, they tried to pay her off, but she said no,
to kill her
because she saved this footage because
she's kind of a
before he died, he was kind of heartbroken that a lot of his pieces that he was giving to his friends, they ended up selling them, and it's kind of a sad tale.
Well, let me actually, you're talking about Basquiat. I mean, I was going to leave the description up to you, but a lot of people, if you don't know who Basquiat is, I'll just read the description here. Right. He became notorious for his graffiti art under the moniker Samo in the late 1970s on the Lower East Side scene. Sold his first painting to Deborah Harry of Blondie for $200, and I think he was even in her video.
Yes.
Yeah, for Rapture.
Her and Fab Five Freddy, who's also in this documentary.
Oh, he is. Yeah. And became best friends with Andy Warhol, appreciated by both the art cognizant and the public. Basquiat was launched into international stardom. So give you a little
she was a film. The friend who made this documentary was a friend. And she decided, she wanted to make a documentary to really represent what he was all about, and it does that in spades. I mean, it's really informative, really interesting, really kind of tragic and sad too, especially towards the tail end before he died.
How'd he die?
I'm trying now. I'm blanking out.
Paint fumes.
No, he. I want to say.
Didn't he OD?
He OD'd. Yeah, I want to say he OD'd. Yeah. Yeah, he had his drug problems.
I think it was heroin.
Yeah, I want to say it was heroin as well too. Yeah.
It was New York in the 70s.
It was right. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that was pretty good odds. That's what was going to happen to you.
Yeah.
Right, and it goes through his career, and it's a lot of like Fab Five Freddy is in the documentary, and it's a lot of basically his friends reflecting on Basquiat, especially his career and his relationship with Andy Warhol. And it's basically just the rise and success of the rise and fall of him. Because like I said, the ending
rises and falls.
Yeah, the very the very.
That's why I don't go see documentaries. Yeah. They're all that shit.
But it's really the